Yes.
What I wanted to know, you shared a lot of information about India. How do you envision your role and what you hope to accomplish during your term here in USA?
Well, I would, as I said in my speech, I have two-pronged objectives. One is my basic objective is to increase the interactions between United States and India at various levels. So whether it is business, investment, education, cultural interaction, or tourism. So we work at various levels. But if you say in a nutshell what is my objective, if we can get American companies to make in India, and if you can get Indian companies to come here and invest, create jobs in the United States, and if there is a sense that both countries are benefiting from the relationship, I think my objective is met. And I think we are working on that. Our government is working on that, our embassy is working on that. And I think, we have been doing a lot in the United States, but that story, that narrative has never been exposed to public knowledge. We don't know the contribution that we are making in this society. I think that story also needs to be told.
True.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
I'm Attorney Joseph Meisner. 2 years ago, we had the ambassador from India here, and I asked her a question, and she promised to send us 600,000 people from India to help our Cleveland City recover our population. Well, some of them are here, but we haven't seen them all. So I hope you're going to get them here. But my question goes to your speech, which I'm glad you gave the whole speech. You mentioned two programs, Stand Up and Start Up. I assume those were designed to try to help either poor people or help people with jobs. I was wondering if you could just describe those a little bit.
No, well, I think we sent 600 of countrymen here, and some of them are in this room. And then she sent me. Thank you very much. No, these Stand Up India and Start Up India are basically programs to support young entrepreneurs with startups. So they give seed capital, they have venture capital, and they provide technology support to basically young entrepreneurs to set up businesses in India. If you want, I can share with you more detailed information. I'll take your business card after this.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm David Fleshler from Case Western Reserve University. Radhika, who's sitting next to you, is a great model for higher education, how that brings together India and the United States. As you mentioned, many Indians have come to the United States, have been educated here, many have stayed, many have gone back and have helped, etc. My question goes to what the Indian government is doing about higher education in India to help U.S. Higher education institutions do more in India. It's been very restrictive for quite a long time. Is there a thought of opening that up so that we can do exactly what you've been saying, try to go back and forth and get our people to India as well as get many Indians to the United States?
Thank you. It's a very important question, and what you mentioned is true. I will not deny that there is there are restrictions on establishment of foreign campuses in India. And I think a law needs to be passed by Parliament, and that law has not yet been passed. But what I learned is that it is on the threshold of being passed that will allow foreign campuses in India. There are certain reservations about that. There are people, India is a democracy, so we just cannot, push through some laws. There are some reservations about not having those campuses, because some people who oppose feel that if we have these universities, it will create some artificial class system in India of people who went to those universities and others who did not. So I think they may have a point there. But two things are happening. One is that we are moving on that law. That law will be out in the next couple of, not months, maybe years. But what is happening is some universities are trying to go around that. There are possibilities and options of doing that. For instance, Harvard has a center in Bombay where they do executive education. So there are certain possibilities despite not having that law. I think you should try to explore those possibilities. One is that you could have campuses there, you could have programs there. As long as you are not awarding a degree, I think you are allowed to do pretty much everything. Secondly, there are other tie-ups which many universities are doing in terms of technology, in terms of innovation. For instance, Cornell has opened up a company in India, and they are now working with Indian scientists and students who pass out of Cornell and working on technologies and innovation. I think many options are available, short of awarding degrees. But I think in the next few years that will also be possible. And I am very optimistic, and maybe it's sooner than later. So you could also, maybe we could talk separately, you could write to us, we could see what else you could do, because your university is very famous in India, and I know, I've heard about it, and I think you can look at what all separately you can do. Some others have established campuses near India. For instance, New York University has established a campus in Abu Dhabi, and most of the students are from India. So there are other options which people have explored, short of setting up a campus in our territory. Thank you.
Yes, Michael?
Michael, thank you for your comments. My question is about the investment or the opportunities for investment from Indian companies into the United States. So you had mentioned Tata, and I know that those of us in the Cleveland area know ArcelorMittal has brought back 2,000 jobs for steel here in Cleveland. Are there industries that are highest in focus when thinking about some of the overall strategy of having or encouraging Indian companies to invest into the United States? And then as a part of that, there are certain areas of Cleveland, for example, the healthcare industry, and also some aspects of manufacturing that are Cleveland strengths. And are either of those industries that India is encouraging its companies to invest abroad?
You see, as far as government policy is concerned, I will not say that there is a policy of encouraging Indian investments to go abroad. The policy framework is to encourage investments to come in. But India has a very vibrant private sector, and they are free to take decisions on their business model, you see. So I would not say that the government is pushing the companies to invest in Cleveland or in Ohio or elsewhere. It is the private companies who take a decision based on their business plans. Okay, so out of that plan emerges investment plans in various parts. So Tata, we didn't encourage Tatas to come to the United States. It was the internal logic of their business which brought them to invest in the United States. What I would like you to help us is, if you have something in mind, if there are certain opportunities, sometimes state governments offer incentives. I know New Jersey has been approaching us, New York State has been approaching us. If Ohio State feels that it has industrial parks, or there are some benefits or tax or some specific industries which may interest Indian companies, I think we can become a channel in promoting that in India. But I would not say the government of India, that's not what we do. We of course promote investment into India. So if you want an Ohio company to come to India, most welcome. Thank you.
President Trump talked a few days ago in Vietnam about Indo-Pacific vision. So how do you comment about that and relationship between that and U.S.-India strategic partnerships? And what's your comment about the economic dimension of that relationship?
Thank you. I think you would be in a better place to answer that, because he made that comment in Vietnam. I'd be happy to hear from you. But I think it also shows that in the APEC summit, where we are not a member, President Trump chose to speak about India. I think that's a huge indicator of where our relationship is standing today. And then President Trump and Prime Minister Modi met for almost an hour in Manila. I think this India-US relationship has really taken off, and I think it's a relationship of the future. And the economic dimension is hugely important. And I think there are various aspects to it. There is investment, trade, intellectual property, presence of my countrymen here. Then how the United States looks at India in the global context. I think that is very important, because, and in that I think we are partnering with Vietnam. And our interest, our strategic interests of United States and India coincide in Indo-Pacific, and I think that's something which we need to keep in mind, because our way of doing business and the American way of doing business is the same, but there are other countries which would like to break the rules of international order. I think we are not into that, and that's why I think the Indo-US relationship is very important.
Infrastructure development in India has really not kept up in pace with the development that's happening there, plus, and the business as well. So only 2.4% of private investments are going into infrastructure. What do you think is the challenge for getting the private investments go into the infrastructure in India?
Yeah, I think you're right there, but the challenges are the infrastructure projects are large gestation projects, and returns are slow to come. So I think, a few of our infrastructure projects have really not taken off. So I think that deterred investors. There was a boom about 10 years back in infrastructure projects and road construction, but I think people over-invested, and then they did not get the necessary returns. But to compensate that, what is happening now is there is huge public sector investment in infrastructure, whether it is airports, railways, roadways. I think the laggardness of the private sector investment has been more than compensated by public sector investment. So I think in the next few years you will see incredible change as far as Indian infrastructure is concerned. I think railway stations are being developed, new railway lines are being built, roadways are being built. We are building the bullet train in India. Some super technology projects have been taken up, and I think within a few years you will see a lot of change as far as infrastructure is concerned. India, you have to understand, is a very densely populated country. Implementing infrastructure projects in India have a lot of complications. There are societal problems, there are environmental problems. So it's not easy to implement, but we have been successful in the last few years to attract private sector investment. A lot of investment from abroad is coming into infrastructure and also public investment. And I think there we are making headway. I'll agree, I'll concede that we were facing some bottlenecks, but I think that is now in the history. Yes, sir.
This question is actually on behalf of my son for the night. So we have been in this country for over 20 years. We are citizens and we are overseas citizens of India, OCI. But my son was asking me a question is, can he ever have an Indian passport with him? He loves being the concept of being an Indian at heart, but he misses having an Indian passport with him. There has been some discussion about dual citizenship. Is anything happening about dual citizenship, or is it still a mirage in the desert for us?
Well, we have got something called the Overseas Citizen of India. So I think you should get your son the overseas citizenship.
He has an OCI.
He is an OCI. So he is very much as good as being an Indian citizen. Maybe he cannot become an Indian diplomat, but apart from that.
No, because the OCI doesn't allow him to either vote, or even there are a couple of restrictions.
I think we are now moving on the voting thing. There are some progress that has been made. The problem with voting is the structure of our election process. Now, if you are given voting right, where will you vote, and for which constituency will you represent? And there are so many elections in India: municipal, mayor, state, central. Which election will you vote, and how many ballot boxes will we have? It's not a presidential system that you vote. You have an election once in 4 or 5 years, and you vote for one candidate. I was talking to our external affairs minister who was here in September, and she said, nobody has been able to give even IT professionals have not been able to give a simple model to follow for voting by people living abroad in India. Even I am not able to vote because I may belong to one constituency, my son may belong to another one, my wife to another one. Where will we vote? So there is a logistical issue which nobody has been able to resolve. We are trying to resolve that. Once that is resolved, I think we will be announcing in phases voting rights to Indians who live abroad.
But I think the bigger question for him was the pride of having an Indian passport with him. That is what he was looking for. And that will really come with a true dual citizenship.
Yeah, I agree. I think we have not yet reached that stage. There are certain issues which you very well know. But I think as we are maturing as a democracy, as our economy is opening up and growing, I think that is not very far away. That day will soon come. Yeah.
Take one last question. anything else? Okay, I'll just ask, yeah, is there?
Yeah, I think this is a comment like, what India has done last few years is just remarkable. We've seen so much pride which has come as a nation, and when something happened in India now, I see our community is so excited. So first of all, we want to congratulate what has been done by the Modi government, and in particular when the nation has come together. I think the biggest challenge which you mentioned is people's perception about India and the business opportunities there. So I think there's more work need to be done to show how many business opportunities there, because that's economy is changing from a saving economy to a consuming economy. And the incremental demand, like in America we can buy, an incremental demand is buying a new car. In India, incremental demand is people are building new houses, building new towns, building new roadways. So there's tremendous amount of incremental demand which is there. I think the more work can be done to show the opportunities of Indian economy, and then I think it will be wrong if there's some kind of restriction between trade between the countries. Either way, it happens from wherever, because what technology is here, if we cannot use it in India because of any kind of perceived restrictions, will be not a good thing for either of the countries. But I just want to congratulate what has been done. We, living here, we really have felt very good about last few years.
Thank you. You mentioned about restrictions. I would just like to mention that United States has declared India as a major defense partner. And that has been declared by not only the executive, even the Congress has cleared it. Now that will involve removal of export restrictions and also regulatory changes in the regulatory framework. So it will be easier now to export technology from the United States to India. So I think that's a huge achievement again. And now some work is still left to be done. And I think everybody is working on that. And in the coming years, things will be much easier. I think before I just hand over to you, I just want to make a comment on what was mentioned by a previous speaker. India, we don't hate Muslims. In India, we don't hate Sikhs. India is the most diverse and tolerant country in the world. We have had 3 Muslim presidents. We had a Prime Minister for 10 years who was a Sikh. My ambassador in Washington is a Sikh. Yes, what we hate are terrorists, what we hate are extremists, what we hate are people who want to break our country and divide our country. But making such general accusations about India, I think is totally unacceptable. And I condemn it. Thank you.
Thank you, Consul General. Really appreciate it.